Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared sharp betting information.
All right, welcome back, my friends, to the Odds Breakers. This is podcast 62 of 2018. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can tweet me at The Public Dog, or you can tweet us at The Odds Breakers. Lots of crazy stories this week in football. Lots has happened. College has set its football playoffs, and the NFL fantasy week the fantasy season is done, and we are ready for some playoffs. So super excited to get rolling on this episode and go over some of the news that has just happened. This episode is being brought to you by mybookie.ag. For a 50% bonus, please visit the oddsbreakers.com, click on the MyBookie banner, and use the promo code TheOddsBreakers for a one-time bonus. Should you want to help us out with our costs, we would love to help you out. Please visit theoddsbreakers.com and become a member. And for $12.99 a month, you'll get our picks before the line moves, as well as for $2 more, you can become a patron subscriber and get all that, as well as our podcast a little bit early. If nothing else, please visit theoddsbreakers.com and become a free picks newsletter subscriber. Well, let's get into this. We had actually a really good week in college football. We're like 8-1. I think it was 7-1 or 8-1. I think it was 8-1. I have to double check again. The only game that we lost was that Middle Tennessee State UAB game with that egregious non-call on the receiver. It should have been pass interference, but it was a fourth down play. It took Middle Tennessee State out of the game. They're almost in field goal range and would have won it. And sometimes that happens. But at the same time, the way you have to look at it is like, if you're going to play, you have to be prepared to beat not only the other team, you have to be prepared to beat out some of those calls as well. So you have to be better than the team, and face adversity. There's opportunities that Middle Tennessee State had where they had a punt and could have made some plays, and so really hard to have an excuse there. These are just the flaws of the football game that we love so much. But otherwise, an amazing week for that until the NFL reared its ugly head again, and we lost like 5 games on Sunday in the NFL. We won the Dallas one this week, and the Sunday was just absolutely brutal. But, thank God that college made up for that. But let's get into what exactly happened here in college. Washington started out on Friday playing Utah. Washington, this game was so low scoring. A lot of people were calling it boring. I thought it was pretty cool. I like seeing defensive games. I believe it was Byron Murphy that made a touchdown interception for the Huskies. Ended up being the only touchdown of the game as well. So all you underbettors were pretty satisfied that game. It was a pretty low total as well, as in the low 40s, I believe, and that thing still came through. But we were able to hit our -5 and -5.5 bets on that, so we were pretty happy. The Buffalo game, oh man, so glad I hedged on that one. So we were able to still get 5 times our bet. Because we hedged very well on it, a little bit on the Northern Illinois money line and spread. But Buffalo, they're a young team. They're better than Northern Illinois, but they couldn't win the big game. They just kind of faltered at the end. They got scared. They lacked a little bit of confidence, and and just couldn't get over the top. And that's what happens to a young team, And you see it in the NFL too. That young team hits the playoffs and they're up and coming, but there's something that just can't get over the hump yet. Then they think about it all year and they're better the next year. So that could happen, but we'll see how many players this Buffalo team can can keep, because they lost that game by like 1 or 2 points here. So it was extremely close. The silver lining for us is that we hit the over in that game, and it was going great in the first half, and then kind of slowed down in the third a little bit. We got a little bit nervous, but we were able to hit that over into the fourth quarter there, and it was looking pretty good the whole game. So the Alabama-Georgia game, let's just jump right into that. Man, that game was awesome. I mean, absolutely awesome. So I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. We are on Georgia and a little bit on the under, more on Georgia, and obviously Georgia almost won outright. And all the reasons that we kind of came up with was exactly correct. My final score prediction wasn't even that far off. I had Alabama by 9. They won by 7. So Tua got hurt. Tagovailoa looks like an ankle sprain. Not sure how bad it is. I've heard all kinds of different reports, low, high, possible minor surgery. But to me, it looks like he's going to be playing. It's going to be 4 weeks from now, pretty much the 29th of December, when they have their first that playoff game against Oklahoma is what we find out. So, but that game was amazing. Jake Fromm had a great game, 300 yards passing and 3 TDs. You had Tua had 164 yards passing and 1 TD and 2 interceptions. He had a bad game, actually, when Jalen Hurts came in and ran the ball well and, scrambled through that touchdown at the end to go ahead. Amazingly stupid, boneheaded play by the coach. They're on the 50-yard line, and with a couple minutes left, it's 4th down. And, the momentum's been against you, as you can see. I mean, Alabama's been coming back. And you give them a short field to kick a field goal when you're tied. Well, they ended up scoring a touchdown anyway, but you give them 15 yards. That's all they need to get to win the game. I mean, you could have just punted it and went into overtime. That was one of the most boneheaded decisions that I've seen from Kirby Smart, and he had to drop a couple points in my coach's ranking just for that call. But Georgia, they had their ample opportunity. They lost to LSU by 20 points. So going into the playoffs, they didn't make it. They did not, and the reason that is because they had the opportunity to get in. They weren't the most deserving team. And sometimes these playoffs go into most deserving according to the committee. Now, they still leave out teams that are undefeated, which is ridiculous. But, if you're going to call it deserving, then make it really deserving. UCF fans are probably going out of their minds right now. I don't know. Even though they would lose to Bama by my spread is about 23 or 24 points. They still deserve a chance to play, in my opinion, but we beat that one to death. There's no reason to talk about it anymore. But the truth is that Oklahoma did beat Texas. They beat them pretty handily. Texas was kind of in the game, made some stupid decisions. Ellinger made some bad plays. There wasn't I didn't think the officiating was all that great on Saturday, by the way. I thought there was some ample opportunities for the officials to make some calls that they didn't for Texas. But either way, Oklahoma won by 12 points, covered their spread, and they're the ones selected in the playoffs. Now, it's crazy to see a defense that ranks in the hundreds out of 130 teams to make the playoffs, but that's how explosive their offense is. But this offense played big against the Big 12. When they play Alabama or Georgia, if it was Georgia, let's say Georgia won, or Clemson, even Notre Dame, I don't think they're nearly what you've been seeing. So this spread's going to be a little bit interesting, and we're going to discuss a little bit more about the spread. Came out about 14 points favoring Alabama. We'll discuss where we think we might find some value there. Obviously, my 4 best teams after last weekend are Alabama, Georgia. Georgia kind of hopped Clemson to me. Clemson, and they're so close. They're within, 10th of a point or something. Clemson, and then Ohio State's my fourth best team. I honestly believe Ohio State would be favored against Oklahoma if they played each other. And I think it's because Ohio State edges them a little bit on defense. And they play in a different conference that's looked at as a little bit better. I think that's where the committee got it wrong, but I don't care. I don't care that much, I guess. Oklahoma was so good on offense they're in. It just sucks that there's teams that are left out. So that just makes this more of like a big beauty pageant more than a real playoffs. But as sports bettors, we don't care because you can put anybody out there playing each other. There's a line on it. We're going to be interested in playing it. So whatever. We're just going to see if we can find some value on any of these games coming in. Clemson is favored about 12.5 points to Notre Dame, too. So that's how the college football playoff has kind of came into fruition here. Ohio State did take care of business against Northwestern. They won by 21 points. We had them minus 13.5, minus 14. I said I liked it to 17. That became true. They decided to put one on Northwestern anyway, but Northwestern fought. They fought hard. Haskins had 500 yards and 5 TDs. He's definitely a Heisman contender, but I just don't see. And we have that bet on him, 28 to 1 that he wins the Heisman. But I just don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be Kyler Murray or Tagovailoa. But you're not going to get anything better than probably minus money on Tua right now, and a very, very small, a little bit better on Kyler Murray. But it would probably be more like 150 to 1. 1.5 to 1 plus 150 is what I'm trying to say. Fresno State ended up beating Boise State, out field goaled them. This thing started out 7-7 in the first, then a bunch of field goals happened, and that's what it pretty much looks like. And I think there's Boise State got one touchdown. It looks like they missed the extra point, but in the fourth quarter, but. It wasn't enough, and this thing went overtime, and Fresno State was able to capitalize, took care of the game, and won it with field goals. So there you have it. Iowa State, God, they played Drake. Actually almost lost. They won 27-24, but this was a game. And I didn't watch it, and to be honest with you, but I was watching my phone and wondering what the hell was going on, and that they were 41-point favorites at this game. So Drake must have been coming out serious, and Ohio State was definitely dogging it here. But Drake must be a really good team in the FCS. So that's a little bit of a scare for Iowa State there. That happens from time to time. Appalachian State beat Louisiana Lafayette, the Ragin' Cajuns, and 30-19. Didn't cover the spread, and that's why there's a lot of sharp money on Louisiana. We didn't touch that game. Now this game, NC State versus East Carolina. So everyone thinks that it's such a bad beat on the under for East Carolina to kick that field goal at the end. Well, they had to get an 80-yard play to get there, and we had the over in this game, and it's much more of a bad beat to go not over 60 points because NC State scores 58 and East Carolina can't score a point. I was so irate at the end of this game because there was a larger play. This was a premium play that we sent out. And then NC State's got the ball with like 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, and they're on the 20 of the East Carolina ready to score. And I'm like, okay, I'm good. They'll at least kick a field goal. And then they fumble the ball. And then I'm like, there's no way East Carolina's driving it down there. I thought it was done. Right there. I'm like, I cannot believe I'm going to lose the over on a 58-0 game. And then all of a sudden, East Carolina got down, and they didn't want to get shut out, and they kicked the 3 points. And, everyone's complaining about that. The underbettors, I had it over 60, and the late number was 61 where it landed on. And all I have to say is, NC State should have scored anyway. And how can you plan on a team against an NC State caliber team to not score? I was pretty pissed off, but I was happy to barely get over the hump on that one.